Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Progress with number 42 in the series Viewers Games. This one is from Jakub from Poland. Hi Rick, my name is Jakub. I've played a classical tournament which was won by me with 100% points received. Well done Jakub. I sent you two games which I consider most interesting. You can show one, both or neither, that's fine. I feel as if your channel lacked some good positional games played by viewers, and the game number 2, which is a game we're going to show, contains some interesting positional ideas, such as the exchange of the black queen, taking control over the c-file, bringing knights to e4. Let's look at all that. And I also enjoy bragging about my positional skills. Thank you in advance and keep providing such amazing content, sir. I'm really glad I found your channels because you deserve at least 100k subscribers more. Your major channel is the best channel on YouTube by far. Very generous comments from Jakub. Let's look at Jakub's game, but let's look at it from the black side, because Jakub was black in his game. His opponent played d4, and it's a classical game, classical over-the-board time control. Knight f6 from Jakub, knight f3 and d5. Bishop f4, we have a queen's pawn game, c5 from Jakub, e3, bishop g4, knight bd2, knight c6, bishop b5, e6, h3, attacking the bishop, bishop went to h5, white castled, bishop d6 from Jakub, offering a trade of bishops. White takes, queen takes back, and c3. White's setup is ultra solid. Jakub castled, and now white needs to make a plan. He came up with b3, knight e7 from Jakub, queen c2, rook ac8. It's always an idea to put your rook opposite your opponent's queen. There may be some tactical possibilities coming along then. White recognizes that and played queen b2 to be out of the reach of rook c8. Prophylactic move. a6, bishop d3. Jakub took in the center. C takes back. We have a symmetrical pawn structure. Bishop g6. That bishop was taken. The knight takes back. And we have a totally equal position, very symmetrical, same piece distribution, totally equal. Rook ac1 competing for the only open file on the board. Queen b4 from Jakub. And now the first move that I have to make a comment on is white's rook fe1. And this is a typical example of a half move. That move doesn't do much. Maybe white is planning to push e4, but as we see in the game, that's not really what he's going for. And then rook fe1 is, as we call, a half move. It is doing something, but not too much. Rook c2 would have been a full move to fight for control over the c-file. And follow that up with the other rook to c1. But no harm done. It's a half move, but no harm done. Queen b5 from Jakub. Rook c3, rook c6, and now rook ec1, proving that rook fe1 a couple of moves ago was indeed half a move, because that rook would have gone to c1 in one move. Rook fc8 from Jakub, and e4 kicking the queen, and there infiltrates the queen on e2, and it looks dangerous, black's queen so close to white's king, but it is okay for white. That queen cannot do much on her own. Still, white got a bit unnerved of that queen in the position, and he played rook e1, and that is a bad move. Better would have been rook takes c6, rook takes, and then black can give a check. Knight interposes, and then you can take back, and this is slightly better for white. That would have been a fine way to play. Perfectly okay for white. But he played rook e1, he wanted to kick that queen away and oversaw a tactic. Because now Jakub took that rook. We check, so you have to take back. And now the rook on c3 is not protected enough. So rook takes c3 has swapped the queen for two rooks, and that's a good deal for black in this position. The two rooks in this position are stronger than the queen. So black is better here. King f1, rook c1, king e2, and the knight from g6 to e7. That knight did not have a great future on g6, so black is rerouting it. Queen a3, rook h7. You have to protect your knight that was attacked by the queen. And queen d6 with a nice little checkmate threat. Mate in 2. So Jakub made some air for his king, very sensible, and g4 from white. Knight c8, kicking the queen. Queen went back to g3, rook 7 to c6, and f4. Knight d6, reactivating that knight, and f5. And that is not a good move. That piece is just hanging twice, attacked twice, and only defended once. So here Jakub could have taken that pawn. But instead he played knight de4. And Jakub said in his introduction that he thought it was a good positional idea. And it looks good, putting that knight on that strong square. And if it gets taken, then another knight would appear on e4. And that looks like a very strong square. And it mostly is, but in this case it allows the white queen back to the queen side. And with the queen stuck on the king side, so in this position, the queen cannot, let's get rid of those arrows, the queen can now not return to the queen side. In this position black has a free hand with his rooks to play on the queen side, try and win those pawns, or set up a battery of the rooks maybe on the first rank or on the second rank, and that would have given black a large advantage. But after knight de4, the queen could come back into play on the queen side. And this position is about equal. It's check, so king h7, and white takes a pawn. Knight takes d2, king takes, and the other knight appears on e4. King e2, f6, white takes on e6, and rook takes e6. Here in this position many moves hold the balance for white, but not the move that white played. Position is about equal, but king d3, which was played, is a big blunder because of a nice tactic that black has, and Jakub found it. Rook c3 check. White only has one move, that's king e2, and then a very nice shot. Can you see it? If you want to look for the tactical shot here, put the video on pause, because here Jakub played the beautiful move rook takes e3 check. What is that? Can white not just take that rook? Well, he can, but then there is a nice discovered check. The knight jumps back to c5 or to d6. The king is in check, and the queen is attacked. So king d2, knight takes b7, and black is a full rook up. So rook takes e3 check is a very nice move. White saw the tactic, played king f1, but then the same tactic is there after rook takes e1 check. Very nicely played by Jakub. Again, if you take the rook, there is knight d6 check with that same discovered check, losing the queen. Rook takes e1 check, wins a piece. White cannot take the rook, he played king g2, and with two rooks and a knight for the queen, black is winning. The white king is also very unsafe, while black's king is very safe on h7. Knight c3, a5, rook 6 e4, queen b4, knight b5, and king g3 played by white, and he resigned after making this move, and he is in a mating net. The quickest way to mate would have been rook 1 e2 from Jakub, and then just to show you the mate, there's nothing white can do against it, but let's play queen f8 just to show the mate. Rook 4, e3 check, king h4 or king f4, and then g5 check, king f5, and then there are several checkmates. Rook f2 checkmate is one of them. Very nice victory from Jakub. The position was equal after the opening, then Jakub had a nice tactic to win 2 rooks for the queen. Then Jakub was better, but he let white back into the game, winning a pawn on b7, and then the game was finished with a very nice tactical motif. Rook takes e3 and rook takes e1, and that rook was poisoned, could not be taken because of a discovered check attacking the white queen. Very nice game from Jakub. Thank you very much for sending it, and well done on winning that tournament that you played with 100%. Very, very impressive. Hope you enjoyed the video, Jakub's victory in this game. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the Chess to Progress channel. Please leave a comment, and if you like the game, it would be great if you could share it on social media. You also may want to check my Chess to Impress channel. The link is in the description box. This is Rick for Chess to Progress. Thank you for watching.